2021 voting session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, will you please call roll?
Present.
Mr. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Moab?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Dr. Eunice?
Here.
Mr. Zaritsky? Ms. Belkat?
Here. Mr. Allison?
Loud.
I'm going to try and project a little more. I understand people have a little trouble hearing in the back, so please don't think I'm shouting at you, but I'm going to try and project. The board met at approximately 6:15 p.m. This evening in executive session to discuss matters related to the institution of litigation that will be on the agenda for voting tonight, as well as a personnel matter that is currently in ongoing litigation, the status of an assessment appeal, as well as the hiring of personnel.
Related to Mr. Hallisey's comments, we have heard the issue to having trouble hearing. We did the best we can to speak as loudly as we can and asked to do the same back towards us and the board. We are looking into some solution for that here. It's not as simple as just putting microphones up. We have to take into account the streaming audience. We have to take into account feedback here in the room, folks that join through Zoom. So there's multiple issues that need to be addressed in order to address the sound issue here. So it is something we're working on, and as we move forward, hopefully we can come up with a solution that makes it a little easier for the public to hear what's going on in the meetings. Okay?
Okay, so before we get started, I would like to begin this evening reminding everyone that we will be following the protocol as written in our board policy for conducting public meetings. During the last two meetings, the items of protocol were relaxed, which led to the repeating of issues that were addressed several times. So I'm going to ask each participant limit your comments to between 3 and 4 minutes, and no participant may speak more than once on the same topic. Also, and this is very important to keep order, this is a formal meeting. Casual banter between the audience and the individual board members is highly inappropriate since this is not an arena for debate. We appreciate your input, but it will be done in an orderly manner. So, moving on. First part is public comments on agenda items. Remember to come to the podium, state your name and your address. Okay. Moving on, minutes. To approve the combined work voting session minutes from the July 15th, 2021. That can be found on attachment A. May I have a motion? Mr. Bloom, second. Mr. Ross, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. King, treasurer's report.
Following bills and reports are submitted for approval. Number 1, confirm the July 2021 general fund payments in the amount of $3,557,720.15. Attachment B. Number 2, to confirm the July 2021 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $12,317.71. Attachment C. The report to approve the July 2021 Berkheimer report, attachment D. I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Mr. O'Neill, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into agenda items. First one is board policy items. 1, motion to authorize the filing of the precipice for a written summons against Jeannie Bowser. Do I have a motion?
We do have to open that up for public comment since it is a new motion on the agenda. Are there any comments on that agenda item only? Thank you. Hearing none, proceed.
Okay, Mr. Bloom,
Second.
second, Mr. Ambrose, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. O'Neill,
Nothing this month.
Mr. Ross, education items.
Number one, to approve the 2021-22 handbook revisions for the elementary school, Central Valley Middle School, and Central Valley High School, Attachment E. To approve the adoption of the Central Valley School District's Title I registration. 4, to approve Dr. Mocha to conduct student physical exams at the Central Valley High School, Central Valley Middle School, Todd Lane, and Center Grange schools for the 2021-22 school year at a rate of $10 per student exam. 5, to approve Dr. Dragonak to conduct the student dental exams for the 2021-22 school year at a rate of $4 per student exam. So moved.
Second, Mr. Moad, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Technology, anything?
Nothing at this time for technology.
Okay, Mr. King, we are back to you with athletics.
Number one, to approve the following 2021-22 coaches pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Girls soccer to be determined a junior Navy head varsity assistant, $1,500. Tyler Bowman, volunteer varsity assistant, no pay. Number two, to approve the resignation of William Powell, volunteer middle school assistant football coach, effective immediately. Number three, to approve Brian Beatley, volunteer middle school assistant football coach, at a stipend of $0 pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. I'll make that motion.
Second by Mr. Bloom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Extracurricular, Dr. Eunice.
We just have one field trip to Kennywood, the high school band, on 8/21 of 2021.
Thank you. Building and grounds, Mr. Zritsky's not here, so number one, to approve the following building usage requests pending final approval from the superintendent regarding the review of the organization's health and safety plan, as well as the liability waiver sign-off. You notice on the chart, it lists the building, the organization, the date, and the purpose for that. And I will make that motion. Mr. Moad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bloom, personnel.
Yes, looking for a motion to approve the 2021 substitute list pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances, found on attachment G. Number two, to approve the 2021-22 roads transit bus driver aid list pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances, attachment H. Number three, to approve the following 2021-22 building monitor positions at Center Grange and Todd Lane at a rate of $10 an hour, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. The names are on the left column, buildings are in the right column down there. Number four, to approve the resignation of Lou Ann Ruckert,
Probably want to make sure.
cafeteria worker, effective July 26, 2021, found on attachment I. Number five, to approve Jamie Humbert as a middle school reading teacher, step one master's degree, in accordance with the CVEA agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number six, to approve Lacey Lombardi as a high school art teacher, step one bachelor's degree, in accordance with the CVEA agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number seven, to approve Julie Sudak as a long-term substitute at Todd Lane for the 2021-2022 school year at a rate of $130 a day, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number eight, to approve the following personnel for band positions pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. The names are on the left, the position is in the center, and the stipend is on the right. Number 9, to approve the following 2021-2022 mentors, each with a stipend of $300. The names are listed as such. Number 10, to approve the resignation of Emily Moore, paraprofessional, effective August 4th, 2021, attachment J. Number 11, to approve the resignation of Stacy McCowan, paraprofessional, effective August 3rd, 2021, attachment K. Number 12, to approve Joseph Smith as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, acceptance, all clearances. Number 13, to approve Tanya Wang as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number 14, to approve Heidi Kowacki as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number 15, to approve the resignation of Jim Seary, part-time custodian, effective June 3rd, 2021, found on attachment L. Number 16, to approve a medical sabbatical for a high school teacher, effective August 23rd, 2021, through January 21, 2022. Number 17, to approve Andrea Popovich as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVESP agreement, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. And then to approve Megan Knight as a long-term substitute teacher at the high school from August 23rd, 2021 through January 21st, 2022, pending receipt, review, with all clearances. And to approve Dan Gallagher as a full-time custodian in accordance with the CVESP agreement at a rate of $14.50 an hour, effective August 23rd, 2021, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. So moved.
Have a second, Mr. Moad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Ambrose, Finance.
Okay, we have two items. The first one will be done individually, and the second one would be a roll call, okay? The first one, to approve the adult meal price for the 2021-2022 school year of $3.90. So moved.
Second, Mr. Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on item 1.
Okay, number 2, to approve resolution number 2021-02, a resolution of the Central Valley School District, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the incurring of non-electoral debt for the purpose of funding certain capital projects, providing capitalized interest, and paying the cost of issuance by the issuance of general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $15 million. So moved.
Second.
Bloom seconds.
Colleen, can you do a roll call?
We have discussion first?
Oh,
I was going
I'm
to say,
sorry.
discussion.
Couple questions for Mr. McShane. Incurring this debt will do what to our credit standing?
We'll find out in a week when we have the rating call. But based upon our analysis, it should remain the same.
Won't have any negative impact.
We'll find out in a week, but based on your current operations and your past history, you're relatively the same as you were a year and a half ago.
If we incur this debt, what is our borrowing capacity going to be?
Your borrowing capacity is 2.25 times your budget. So your current budget is roughly 40 million.
Give or take.
Let's call it 100 million. And this puts you about 70 million. Is that right?
John?
55 million in debt.
Yeah, I think we have about 37.
37 plus 15, so 52.
Right.
So you have 48 million remaining.
That we can possibly,
But that's an archaic number. It's really based upon nothing. It's not based upon payment streams or anything like that. It's just based on state code on how much you can borrow. That doesn't mean you can afford it, just saying that's what you're legally allowed to borrow.
Okay, that's all the questions I have for you. My opinion is, I think our strategy should be more conservative and to continue building our fund balance and put money into capital reserve to look at projects down the road. I don't believe this project is going to fund itself by bringing students back. We may get some back that will fund a portion of the debt, but it's not going to fund the project with labor, teachers, supplies that we're going to need. And I think we're putting ourselves in a position where if something happens at one of the other schools, we're going to have a very difficult time to fund anything else without cutting something that we're not going to want to cut, like educational programs. It's my opinion. Thanks, Mr. McShane.
Just one quick opinion before this is voted on. I agree with you, Tom, and I don't think it's the time to borrow this kind of money. And one of the arguments for this project was that we're spending $500,000 roughly per year to Baden rather than keeping it here in the district. It just doesn't make sense to me to spend $15 million to save $500,000 a year. To me, it's that simple.
Joe, I'd just like to address I talked to the superintendent at Ambridge, and it's not necessarily going to happen this coming school year. Again, right now, PA Cyber is working a deal with Quigley Catholic to either lease or buy their school, and their students, not only, any student that's going to Baden Academy will stay over there for their 7th, 8th, and 9th. So that $500,000 could possibly turn into $1 million a year for somebody else to educate our kids across the river. Again, as I keep repeating, with their curriculum. Now we're talking not only $500,000, the real potential, according to people that are doing their research on what's happening that affects their school district, because they probably have more than anyone over there, and it really affects their budget. Right off the top, they're paying like $7 million with all the kids going to various charter schools, etc. So if it does happen, it won't be just $500,000. It could be $1 million. If those 34 kids that we have going over there stay there and go through that program, since they're already over there, make friends, etc., that it'll cost this district, the taxpayers of this district, for somebody else to educate our kids each year, $1 million. That's not this coming year. Now, I want you to, I'll emphasize that again. It could be down the road, maybe another year after this year.
I hope it happens, but if you build it, they may not come. You never know. And ironically, you borrow this much money, the debt service is going to be approximately what we're paying anyway. To me, it makes no sense. That's all. I mean, you have the votes, you're going to do it. So if you're going to do it, and try to get the best price you can with the bids.
Dr. Yunus, did you want to say something?
Yes, I do. I'm not going to repeat everything that Mr. Moad said or Mr. O'Neill, but we were told by the state not to make any. Yes.
They want you to speak up.
I can't hear a word anyone is saying. If
Oh,
you could
okay.
just speak up a little.
Sure. I agree with Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Moad that doing this at this particular moment, I don't disagree with all-day kindergarten. I disagree with all-day kindergarten at this moment because of all the different things that we have going on with the issue with the pandemic. And I think that we should get money together and build our fund balance up a little bit higher. And that's pretty much it. We were told, like I said, by the Auditor General not to make any capital improvements. So, that's my stance, and I stick to. I'm not worried about other school districts and what they do. I just worry about our school district and spending that much money. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Colleen, roll.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Moan,
Oh,
Mr. O'Neill,
No.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Eunice,
No.
Mr. Zeritsky's not here, Mr. Ambrose,
Yes.
Ms. Belcastro.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Dr. Perry?
new teacher orientation took place Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. I believe we had 13 here. We had 13 new teachers, young, fresh faces, excited to get into education. I want to thank Mr. Miller. I want to thank him. He does a majority of the new teacher orientation program. His staff do a lot of technology training with our new folks when they get here. The curriculum trainers, Dr. Hyman, Ms. Rosatone. I also want to thank our administrators who participated and provided professional development. I think Mrs. Park provided, as did Mr. Vakovican and Mr. Dolph, Ms. Hicks, Ms. Farragotti, if I'm not mistaken. If I missed anybody, I apologize, but I appreciate you. I know it's a busy time. You take teachers. I believe we have a very, very good group of new teachers coming into the district, so we're excited about that. All of our staff will be here on Monday, the 23rd. We'll have 5 days of professional development, and then our students will be back in the buildings on Monday, the 30th. Looking forward to the kids coming back, looking forward to the teachers coming back, looking forward to having a positive year, and hopefully things will start kicking back towards normal. I ask and hope and pray every day that our school community sticks together, that we provide good role models for our students, and do the best we can to keep our community together and heading in the right direction to get our kids in school. So looking forward to another school year.
Thank you. So board member comments. Mr. Ross, anything from you tonight?
Just wish everybody, the administration and staffs a good start this year for, from what we missed from last year. And I just hope that we can start the school year off with a bang, and everybody's happy and hit the books and hit the ground running. So good luck to you guys. Hope everything works out fine for everybody over there, okay? And our staffs.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes, I'd like to welcome the new teachers on board. I want to thank the administrators for the job well done with the interview process. It went well, and everything works out, and good luck for the school year.
Dr. Eunice?
Yes, I'd like to wish the staff good luck with everything. I know we're going to have a lot of curveballs thrown at us. You guys have handled everything really great last year. I'm sure you're a little seasoned at this, but not with what we may get, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I just wish you a lot of luck. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm here for you.
Mr. O'Neill?
All the work you folks have done all summer, we really appreciate it, and I hope we open up and don't have any problems, and let's go for it. Let's have a good year.
Mr. King?
I don't have anything.
I just echo the comments that the other people said, hoping for a good school year, and appreciate all the planning that was done over the summer.
Mr. Ambrose?
I agree with Mr. Ross, Mr. Bloom, Mr. Dr. Eunice, Mr. O'Neill.
And I'm going to say, so we don't have to hear it repeated again, good luck for the new school year. So with that, that leads us to our public comments. Again, I'm going to get my teacher thing out again. Please limit it to 3 to 4 minutes and one person on the same topic. Oh. Anyone?
Hi, James Peters, 2596 Front Street. I have a article from a newsletter here on my phone. I understand you're looking at your phone, keeping time. You asked us to keep it to 40 minutes per subject. There's at least 3 or 4 subjects here. I don't anticipate taking the full 12 minutes, but if I start running a little over, don't beat me up about it. I just want to get through the whole article, and then I won't come back up again, I promise. All right, so this is from the Pennsylvania PASA flyer from August 2021. It came out August 9th of this year. It's navigating the school year updates and resources, and it specifically states here updates from AASA regarding masks on school buses. AASA recently clarified directives concerning mandated use of masks on school buses as follows. Many superintendents have expressed confusion about differential federal orders requiring masks on school buses, and we are writing to provide some clarification for you and your administrative teams on this issue. But first, some context. In June, the CDC reiterated its order from January that school bus masking is required. At the same time, several states acted in the spring and summer to prohibit local school districts requiring masks for students generally. Superintendents have wondered what the consequences of following state law, no mask mandates, and flaunting federal CDC orders would be, and the answer is as follows. CDC has no way of enforcing its school bus mandate. While they have the power to issue orders, their enforcement capability is essentially non-existent. Superintendents should weigh the consequences of what would occur if they do not follow the state mandate on masks and follow the CDC orders and vice versa. In addition to masking, there are multiple effective mitigation strategies to districts to employ to reduce the risk associated with students' transportation, as demonstrated in the document published by the U.S. Department of Education. Regardless of what practices your district employs, the U.S. Department of Education has reiterated that social distancing practices on school buses should not deter districts from offering full-time in-person instruction. With regards to TSA order for buses that have associated fines for non-compliance, please know that school buses are not part of the order. There is no financial penalty associated with non-compliance with the TSA or CDC. And then it has the latest guidelines from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, updated their guidelines to align with the CDC existing. Just a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. This was issued on August 9th at our last meeting, which was after August 9th. We were told that our superintendent, Dr. Perry, had called other superintendents, and they all came up with something that was very different from what I just read. Did nobody read the newsletter?
I read the newsletter, and I shared the newsletter with our legal counsel, and our legal counsel will continue to hold their stance that they don't believe that that's accurate. And I did speak with, and I did not call, I sit on superintendent meetings weekly with all the superintendents in the county. All the superintendents weighed in on what was going on in their schools. As of this morning, and one superintendent was not there, so I'm not going to speak for that person. As of this morning, every school in the county is requiring masks on buses that I'm aware of. So,
despite the fact that there's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Despite the fact that there's no teeth.
I mean, I've said this multiple weeks now.
I'm happy to jump in. I disagree with that. That I believe it was a blog post by the that particular organization. I completely disagree with the assessment that there are no financial penalties associated with violating the CDC order. Additionally, I will tell you that that particular piece of writing that you read was distributed to the entire country, every school district in the country. There are superintendents, not in Pennsylvania, but other states such as Texas and I believe Florida, whose governors have prohibited local school districts from imposing or enforcing mask mandates. Many of those schools are struggling to determine their and weigh their legal obligations from the federal government with what their state laws are telling them. So the way I interpreted that was the American Association is advising its membership that it is more likely that you are going to be penalized by your local or state government than the federal government. We are not under that restriction here in Pennsylvania. We do not have either a mandate or a law to mask, nor are we prohibited from doing so. And many school districts are choosing to do that. Central Valley is not. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Schwer, 123 York Way. I just have a question. The Department of Health and Department of Education has announced this initiative with using Ginkgo Bioworks for pool testing and other testing in the schools. Is that something that this board is considering opting into or out of?
I could speak to that, and I don't want to speak to for the entire board. I sat in on a conference call today about that. There's a ton of questions with regards to that. I give you my personal opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Personal opinion is I'm an educator. I am not a healthcare professional, and that I don't know that that's this duty of this district to be testing students and or providing vaccinations on site, things like that. There are a lot of questions that all the superintendents had about it. It's just starting to get rolled out, but that's my personal opinion. But I don't want to weigh on that and for the board and or until I give them more information. I'm the first one that sat in on anything today.
My understanding of that as well is that even if the school chose to participate, that it is completely voluntary and would require parental consent.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes, I knew that. Yes. I just was curious where our thoughts were on that at this point. So thank you.
And I know last week I said there was a big announcement supposed to come out Friday. That was the big announcement that came out on Friday. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank.
Oh.
You know, she was.
My name is Marcia Klein. My address is 136 Biscuit Lane, Monaca, PA. I have a problem, and I'd like clarification, if you don't mind, on why the district has gone against synchronous learning.
I've spoken to this in the past. We've not gone against synchronous learning. So after last year, we pulled students, we pulled the teachers, we pulled parents with regards to learning options for this school year. Overwhelmingly, our student body said they wanted to be in school face-to-face. Overwhelmingly, 100%, our teachers feel the kids need to be here face-to-face. There were issues that occurred in synchronous learning that were not ideal. At the higher grades, and this comes from the students themselves, they didn't come to school because they could sleep in. Participation on test days is way down. I don't want to accuse people of cheating, but certainly that was a major concern as to what was going on here at the high school, secondary levels. At the middle school, Todd Lane levels, kids were disappearing. They would come online. They would not participate. They would disappear, so to speak. Our teachers were spending half the time trying to get the kids to participate in the class. At the youngest ages, all of our teaching staff feel the kids need to be here. The parents were sometimes under-involved, sometimes over-involved. We had kids taking classes from their bedrooms. We had kids taking classes in pajamas. We had kids not taking classes. Had a difficult time finding kids at Todd Lane in the middle school. Performance-wise, the kids themselves and the teachers themselves all said that they thought that face-to-face instruction was better. We do feel that there is a niche for synchronous learning. We've left it into our plan. If we have students, and this is going to be based on case-by-case basis, students that have to be excluded from school for exposure purposes, We're willing to work with the parents and those children with regards to not missing classes during that time. So there will be some synchronous instruction that takes place. As of right now, we're not offering that as an option for everyone. If for some reason things change, climate changes, and we're forced to start to close our doors, then we'll move back to that synchronous instruction platform that we did last year.
I understand, and thank you for clarifying this. I do agree that in-person learning, student-to-teacher learning, is superior beyond synchronous learning. That's understood. My daughter wasn't sick at all this past year, which is wonderful. The past 2 years with kindergarten and first grade, no problem. Kindergarten was a big problem, and she has an issue with sucking her fingers. I would hope that if, God forbid that she was rather sick, that option would be open to participate. And I have been right beside my daughter to make sure that she does learn as much as possible. And I believe her principal would say that she has made tremendous strides this past year, and I'm very grateful for that. She's had a few bumps in the road, but I due to that, I'm very concerned. I understand what's best, but at the time, a few times, she barely missed school at all, and I didn't want to see her. God forbid. I'm also taking care of my 81-year-old mother, and the last thing that I want is the option is to either see my mother die or send my kid to school. That's a big concern of mine, and what the school district apparently, from what I could see, did a magnificent job making sure that everything was clean, that the chances of contacting COVID was significantly small, so long as they washed their hands, they were wearing their mask. So that's my concern, and that's all.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Any others?
Barbara Shear, 122 Mingle Avenue. People in this forum might be wondering why I get up to the podium week after week, or board meeting after board meeting, talking about numbers for the vaccines. I believe Dr. Perry asked the question last meeting, why are we even discussing vaccines? No one on the board is even talking about vaccines. And although that is true, no one on this board is talking about vaccines or mandating vaccines or requiring vaccines yet. I'm talking about vaccines because I want people to be informed. When the health and safety plan was unanimously voted on by the school board in the presence of 70 opposing parents last month, the topic of masks was a hot topic. The parents wanted the last line of the health and safety plan removed, which read that the school district would follow guidelines as per the CDC and the Department of Health. The reason parents wanted that line removed was because they know that the CDC and the PA Department of Health are very fickle bunch. They want people to comply with whatever latest rules they've dreamed up. For a virus with a 99.4% survival rate under the age of 70. That's not my number, that's the CDC's number. Last week, during the school board working meeting, the seeds were already being planted that news was coming out that may, possibly Friday, change the contents of the health and safety plan. The school district and the board's hands would already be tied in an effort to remain compliant with the state and federal overreaching mandates. Parents are awake and paying attention, and that is why we are talking about vaccines. We know that vaccines are next in the playbook, as well as muzzling our children forever. A little bit about where I get my information. I get my information from VAERS. That stands for Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which was started in 1990 by a group of concerned parents and monitored by the CDC. Last week, the numbers I went through, deaths are now up to 12,791. That's 425 more than last week. Hospitalizations are up to 51,242. Bell's palsy is up 400 over last week for a total of 4,461. This is traumatizing, but miscarriages are up 124 this week from last week, 1,505. Heart attacks, almost 6,000. Myocarditis and pericarditis is up 4,371. That's 643 more than last week. And just so you have an idea, they are showing studies that young men under the age of 30 are the ones that are hit most by this. Permanently disabled, up almost 2,000 to 16,000 from last week. As you can see, these are high numbers, but what you don't know, or maybe I was just new to the scene, is that these stats are very underreported. Only 1 to 10% actually report these, the VAERS account. And just so you know, COVID-19 vaccines use experimental technology that have never been used before in humans, the mRNA technology. COVID-19 may only offer short-term protection. That was what Dr. Fauci has stated. And these vaccine manufacturers are exempt of all liability, which means if you get injured, they're not to blame. You're responsible for your own health. There is no long-term safety data on COVID-19 vaccines, and several COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers have actually been convicted of fraud. And this is actually the very first one for Moderna. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
May I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Moad, second, Mr. O'Neill. All in favor?
Aye.
We're not done yet.
They asked whether or
I
not.
didn't even hear you guys.
I would let her.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have just a couple questions. I've read a couple things recently. Cindy Phillips, Center Township. I don't know if anybody here can even answer this question. I've just read a couple things that concern me, that there's some sort of informed consent, that some level of parental rights are lost when a child enters a school building. And that's why some schools, even in Ohio, have pushed vaccines on kids without parental consent, because there's something.
I can speak to that. There's a concept in law that a school stands, it's called in loco parentis. And that is the theory that the school acts as the parents in certain matters while the students are in the school, okay? I am unaware of any authority for a school district in Pennsylvania to, I'm sorry, did you say vaccinate or test?
Oh, that was just one example.
Okay.
So any of them.
To vaccinate a student without their parents' consent. And I can assure you that I would never, in my capacity, would never advise this district to vaccinate a student, a minor student, without parental consent.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Adjourned. Thank you.